Forget gurus. Forget anyone claiming to be an online business expert without going through the challenges of entrepreneurship themselves. The Real Money, Real Business podcast is here to prove the best insights in online business comes from your fellow online business builders. We dig into stories of entrepreneurs selling their business on the Empire Flippers marketplace so that you can learn how they made their business profitable, how they overcame obstacles, and what lessons they learned in their online journey. If you want to take your business and your knowledge to the next level, you've come to the right podcast. Let's get started.
Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of the Real Money, Real Business podcast. My name is Vinny and I'm joined with today's guest, Randy. He's selling his Amazon FBA business on the Empire Flippers marketplace. So welcome to the show, Randy, and how are you doing?
Thanks, Vinny. I'm doing great. It's good to be here with you today.
Yeah, the pleasure is definitely all mine. I'm really looking forward to talking about this business. It sounds like a pretty interesting one. And just before we dive in deeper, let me just go over a very brief summary of what the business looks like for our listeners. So today's listing is an Amazon FBA and e-commerce business in the kitchenware and home niches. And it was created in October 2015. The average monthly revenue for the business is $138,113. And it makes an average of $30,093 per month in net profit. The assets that are included in the sale are the Amazon Seller Central account with 73 SKUs, domains and all of the site's contents and files, trademarks, Walmart and Shopify accounts, SOPs, supplier contracts and relationships, software contracts and instructions, a warehouse space for a limited amount of time, and social media accounts. Just please be aware that inventory isn't normally included in the listing price and further details can be provided to active buyers. You can head over to empireflippers.com/marketplace and search for listing 48743 to learn more about the business. And if you want to start your due diligence, just remember to unlock the listing first. So Randy, that's a very general overview about the business, and let's find out a bit more about yourself. Can you tell me a bit about your background in building or running online businesses? Is this your first one that you've set up, or have you been doing this for a while?
Yeah, absolutely. Great question. So I actually own and operate a digital marketing agency with a business partner of mine, and he and I have been doing that for about 20 years. And so we've had a lot of experience in the digital marketing space. And that's one of the reasons why, selling on Amazon became an interest to us because we thought, hey, why don't we take some of the information and knowledge that we've gained throughout our 20 years in the digital marketing space and see if we can apply those best practices and principles to an Amazon business, which is a little bit different from what we normally do or did during our day jobs. But we thought it might be a fun business to get into. So that's kind of what, drove us into this business. It's just kind of taking a look at what we've already done in the digital marketing arena and seeing if we could apply that to e-commerce.
Yeah, that's a great answer. It definitely sounds like you've got a lot of skin in the game, for sure. Is there any reason why you decided to explore Amazon FBA as a business model for this particular business?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we were just looking at some different ways to diversify our income and kind of look at some new revenue streams. And we did come across Amazon FBA. And honestly, it was just something that interested us. And, we thought, let's just give it a try. So we started with a couple of SKUs, a couple of small products, began listing them, and almost overnight started seeing some sales. And we started thinking, okay, if we put some real effort into this, we think this is a business that we could, really truly grow and scale. So let's say it kind of started as a hobby, almost a side hustle, which is, I'm sure it starts that way for many people. But then we quickly started to apply some of the things that we already knew from our other business, and we're able to see some pretty rapid success with it.
For sure. Yeah, totally agree with what you said. I think it does kind of start like that for many people. It's just throw it at the wall and see what sticks kind of thing. And then you just sort of scale it from there as you're finding more success. You were mentioning, you were testing a couple of SKUs. I was interested, why did you choose these niches in particular, in the kitchenware and the home niches?
Yeah, absolutely. So the reason that we chose these particular SKUs was we wanted something that was small, that was light, but that also, we felt we could command, a good purchase price for. So our products in particular are in a couple of different niches, and we really try to have the most premium product within those niches so we can command a little bit higher of a price and just get better margins. So initially, we were aiming to have something as small and compact as we could so we could keep the shipping costs down while still, having a little bit of that premium price point. So that's really what drove us, into these couple of different niches, because we found a couple of sort of pockets of products that really fit that particular description well. And it just kind of took off from there.
Yeah, that's an interesting strategy. I think a lot of people choose their niches depending on if it aligns with their interests and their passions and stuff. And I guess in your case, it was more of a, whether it fit your sort of your pricing criteria, really. So yeah, that's an interesting strategy.
Yeah, we kind of backed into it. It honestly didn't have anything to do with, our passion. We like the products that we sell, and, we think they're great products. And again, we always strive for very high quality, but it's not something that was kind of coming out of our hearts, if you will. We just looked at it from a practical standpoint and said, just fit a good model. And we think this is something that we can grow and scale and make money on. And once we started, moving on it, we also saw some opportunity to diversify some of the product line and introduce new SKUs that were, variations of what we had. So, we started something purposefully, but then we started moving even more purposefully and expanding the product line in a number of different ways.
For sure. And obviously for active buyers, I'm sure you'll be able to share a bit more about your strategy, and how you can diversify. And we'll explore the opportunities for the business in a short while. But I just want to ask, because I noticed that the business has experienced a lot of growth in the past 12 months, especially during these crazy times. So our listeners will be wondering why you're selling the business right now instead of staying with it and growing it.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I said, we love the business. We actually do have a huge passion for it. But I'd say there's a couple of reasons. One of them is my business partner and I, we own and operate and run another business. We want to continue investing in that. And our FBA business is getting to the point where I think in order to grow and scale it to the next level, we need a more of an infusion of capital. And we also need to dedicate and commit more time to it. So I think we've gotten to the point where we realize, okay, if we're going to do this, we have to make it full-time effort, and we need a larger infusion of capital. It's kind of reached that tipping point for us in terms of where we are in our lives and where we want to spend other time. So that's probably the primary reason. And we think that a buyer could come along and really, take it to the next level and move it and expand it in other ways. And I'd say probably the second reason is we're also looking for opportunities to be able to take some capital that we might make from a transaction and then reinvest it into some other Amazon businesses. I mentioned when we started this one, it wasn't necessarily something that was a huge passion of ours from the heart. It was more, I guess, from the pocketbook, making sure that, everything fit. But we'd like to reinvest some capital into some products that we actually do feel passionate about, that are a little bit more closely aligned with some of the things that we like to do personally.
For sure. That's understandable. Like you say, it made sense from the budgeting side of stuff and just scaling a business. But it sounds like, your true passions and interests lie in another business that you would like to scale even further. So definitely makes sense. Let's touch on your experience then. As you were scaling this business, what did you find really helped you, that really worked for you as you were growing it?
I think there were a couple things that really helped grow and scale the business. The first one is, and you mentioned, what are some things that caused an increase in this past year? One of them was, we really focused on advertising. So, obviously with any business like this, you have to get serious about the metrics and driving. We realized really digging into the advertising numbers, getting the ACoS where it, needs to be in this particular niche. Spent a lot of time focusing on the keywords and the keyword optimization, pulling those keywords, strongly into the listing itself, the concerted effort and focus on that. And even putting more financial resources towards that is really what helped grow and scale the business. So we kind of did it, I don't want to say half-heartedly, but, we spent a couple of years running and operating the business almost as a side hobby. And in early 2020, actually right at the turn of the year, 2019 to 2020, my business partner and I sat down and said, look, we need to take this seriously. If we're going to run this, let's really run it. And so we spent a lot of time looking at advertising and pouring a lot of effort into that. And that really helped. It really helped catapult our growth. And I think the other thing that might have been a bit of a turning point was, we manage some of our inventory out of our own warehouse. And at the beginning of COVID, when Amazon shut their doors to receiving new inventory, we actually had a lot of inventory in our own warehouse. So we were able to avoid a lot of stockouts. And I think that just increased our rankings when some of our competitors were having stockouts. We were able to kind of leapfrog them and then get even stronger rankings, more reviews, and gain even more traction. So I think it was a combination of those things that really helped, catapult the growth.
That's really great. That gives a lot of context as to why the business experienced so much growth, especially in the past 12 months, for sure. On the other side of things, though, was there anything that you tried that didn't give you the ROI that you were quite expecting or hoping for?
Yeah, well, we spent a good bit of time in early 2020 and also in 2019 really working hard on our Instagram account. So kind of off Amazon, investing in that, trying to build, connections, get a big follower base and utilize that to promote our products. And it just didn't give us the returns that we were looking for. And I don't know if it's, we weren't quite doing the right thing, or if it's just, dollar for dollar, not going to give you the returns that, the same investment on Amazon is going to. But that was something we tried. And for whatever reason, we just weren't able to get it to work.
Makes sense. Okay. You were mentioning about one of the things that helped you scale the business was seriously investing in advertising and marketing. So let me ask you, what do you currently do in terms of marketing right now for the business?
Yeah, the biggest things that we do really are focusing on advertising. We're starting to also move some of our advertising into, the videos, and then just taking advantage of some of the other things that are, available through Amazon. So the couponing, some of the deals and things like that. So that's really where all of our efforts go in terms of marketing. We haven't done a lot of marketing off the site. Everything is really on the site. So looking at, fine tuning our keywords. The other thing that we've been paying special close attention to is looking at some of the things that our customers are searching for in terms of product variants. So that's helped us think a little bit kind of in the future about product development and what people are sort of on the cusp of starting to look for that nobody else is offering right now. So we've been able to get ahead of the game in terms of promoting some new products within our product family that other sellers, either don't have or have, a very limited amount of, and get ahead of the curve, for a couple of different SKU variations.
Okay, that's great to hear. Let me just ask you then, on a day-to-day basis or even a weekly basis, what do you do to maintain the business?
Yeah, that's a great question. So, on a day-to-day basis, I'm responsible for more kind of the operation side, and my business partner is more responsible for managing relationships with our suppliers, as well as managing our advertising. So, on a daily basis, we'll spend a little bit of time fulfilling orders. We not only are on Amazon and Shopify, the Walmart and Shopify sites, all those are fulfilled by merchants. So we spend anywhere between, 30 minutes a day just, fulfilling orders and getting those out the door. And then, a couple of hours a week, just managing inventory, keeping an eye on our inventory levels, sending out, dripping the product out to Amazon as needed, receiving orders into the warehouse. And then on the other side of things, a couple of hours a week as well, just keeping an eye on the ads, making sure they're running, making sure they're well optimized, managing new orders with suppliers. Outside of that, just spending time thinking about new products, brainstorming together with my business partner of, okay, what can we add next? What is the market looking for? What are some variations of our product that we can change just a little bit to create, some competitive advantage against other sellers in the space?
Yeah, makes sense. Can you just briefly describe to me the process of getting the inventory from manufacturer to Amazon?
Yeah, absolutely. All of our suppliers are in China. We have 3 main suppliers. One of them supplies the lion's share of our products. And then we have a couple of other suppliers that supply a few of our SKUs, as well as a little bit of a backup for us. But the process is really pretty simple. We have a direct contact via Skype with our suppliers in China. Whenever, we're getting to the point where we need to reorder inventory, we place an order. Almost everything that we do comes on air because, like I said, we really worked hard to keep our products as small and as light as possible. So we're able to afford air shipments. So we place the order, the manufacturing happens, then everything comes over via air. We run and manage our own warehouse in a little office complex. We actually own the warehouse. So we bring the inventory into our warehouse. We do a little bit of a spot check just to make sure that everything's good from a quality control issue and there are no, issues with any of the products. Then we stack it up on the shelves, make sure everything is, organized and neat. And then as needed, on probably about a bi-weekly basis, about every 2 weeks, based on, the inventory levels that Amazon is telling us we need, we put labels on boxes and send them on out. We've tried to work really hard with our suppliers that when the inventory comes in, nothing needs reboxed, nothing needs repackaged, nothing needs relabeled. the same way it comes in is exactly how it goes back out. So we've really streamlined that process, and we've kept it as simple and really worry-free and management-free as possible. I think the reason for that is because, as I mentioned earlier, my business partner and I both, have another full-time job that keeps us really busy. So we've wanted to keep the management of our FBA business as small as humanly possible while still maintaining, a really healthy business and good profit margins.
For sure. So obviously you were saying that the inventory is sent to your 3PL warehouse, right? And there's also a mention here on your listing that you're willing to temporarily lease the warehouse space during the transition period.
Absolutely. We really want to remain flexible to, any buyer that might be looking for a different arrangement. We realize that some buyers might say, look, just put all the inventory on a truck, send it to our warehouse, and we'll take care of it from there. And that's totally fine if that's what they would want to do. But we also know that, we want to remain open to some different, ideas from a transition standpoint. So if somebody wants to keep the inventory in our warehouse for a set period of time, even, send us labels and we can label up the boxes and send them out to Amazon. We're totally open to doing that. So one of the things that, we've thought about and talked about is just a real sense of flexibility during that transition process, not only making sure we have a clean handoff of the standard operating procedures, as well as a handoff of just kind of our knowledge in terms of this particular space and how we run and manage our ads. But same thing goes with, the inventory and being flexible as far as that's concerned. So we're totally open to whether it's, leasing back the warehouse space for a small period of time or helping just getting the inventory out the door. That's not a problem at all.
Sure. And for the right buyer who does acquire this business, if they're not familiar with either of the niches or the FBA or e-commerce business models, what would you recommend are some of the skills or requirements they should learn to be able to hit the ground running?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think that a couple of things that they'll definitely need to know. I mean, one of them is just inventory management and forecasting. It's not difficult. And we keep all of our inventory. Some of it we keep on a spreadsheet, and another one we have a software application for. So it helps us really forecast and see what's coming down the road and what we need to reorder and when. So we just try to back out the dates from our suppliers and say, okay, if this particular product has, a 30-day reorder point or a 60-day or a 90-day reorder point, we then just back everything out from there and say, all right, based on these, sales levels, this is what we need to reorder and this is when we need to do it. So managing an inventory is pretty critical because if you have stock outs, it can really, negatively impact the listing. So I think that's one thing that's really important. I think the second thing is just be familiar with how the Amazon, advertising management platform works. So just kind of knowing the ins and outs of that, knowing how that works. It's not a difficult thing to do, but being familiar with that and being used to using it will obviously be a huge help. And probably the third thing is just having good supplier relationships. So, that just comes with just being a friendly person and being able to communicate well about what you need and what you're looking for so that the supplier can help you forecast demand and, can have product ready for you when you need it.
Yeah, that's some great advice. I think that can probably apply to all Amazon FBA businesses across the board, really.
I would think so, yeah.
So let me just touch on the opportunities. I mean, if you did stay with the business, Randy, what are some of the ways you would try to grow it?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of room for expansion in a couple of different areas. So far to date, we've really only focused on the Amazon FBA. We focus a small amount on the Walmart marketplace as well as our own Shopify site. But there's a couple of things that I would suggest any buyer picking up this business to do right away. First of all, I'd say increase the Walmart presence. Now, obviously, the Walmart marketplace doesn't have the same strength right now as the Amazon marketplace does. But I feel like at some point, Walmart's going to have to put all their chips on the table and just go all in. And I feel like the sellers that are on the Walmart marketplace now, when Walmart really starts doing a heavy promotion, if they've been there for a while, they're going to have a strong established presence. So I would suggest put more effort into the Walmart listings, getting them really, really well optimized, making sure all the SKUs are out there. I think the other area is on Amazon itself, moving into international marketplaces. We've really only focused so far in the North American marketplace. So I think getting into all the international marketplaces will help, really just catapult the business. And the last thing I would do is just take a look at the different SKUs. And these SKUs are, I think, infinitely scalable by looking at a couple of different variations and applying a couple of different color combinations to the SKUs. I think they could grow literally infinitely. And the metrics that we're able to see are literally telling us what our customers are searching for. So we're able to quickly look at that, get in touch with our supplier and say, okay, we need this particular product modified in this way. Let's get an initial batch, on our doorstep so we can start selling them and testing them and see if they sell. So those are the things I would say. Increase the Walmart presence, get the products out into the Amazon international marketplaces, and then really look to strongly expand the product line through some different combinations.
Yeah, it definitely sounds like there's lots of opportunities and different avenues to explore there. If we look at the risks then, what would you say are some of the biggest risks with this business a buyer should be aware of?
Sure. I'd say, probably the biggest risk, which is just a risk with any business on the Amazon marketplace right now, is just, the competitive nature of it. So, every single niche now within Amazon has become very competitive because obviously there are, thousands or millions of sellers that are trying to do not with them. It is a competitive niche. It's not like a nasty competitive niche. It seems like there's some niches that people are just absolutely cutthroat and will do anything to bury a competitor. It seems to be I know this sounds odd, but it seems to be almost like a respectfully competitive niche. But that competition is always going to be there, and you're always going to have someone nipping at your heels, obviously wanting to overtake your spot. So the couple of things that we've tried to do, keep that at bay is within our particular niche, we try to have the highest price premium product within that niche. We do not race for the bottom. We do not cut our prices. We go for high quality, and we want to position ourselves as the best. And so far for years, that's worked, and it's worked really well. And I would continue to have that, that outlook, because I think it helps protect you from, just that price competition and just, racing to the bottom. It's making sure the quality of the product is always really high, and then matching that with a very strong, very solid listing. And those things, have helped us be able to command a higher price premium.
That's a good answer for sure. I've just got a few wrap-up questions as we're heading up towards the end of this interview. How much support are you offering buyers?
Yeah, we're able to offer buyers any kind of support that they want as we move through that transition period. As I mentioned earlier, we're a very open book in terms of our standard operating procedures, the things that have worked for us, things that haven't worked for us. So we want to make sure the transition is very smooth, very clean, and the buyer is set up for optimal success. So we're here. We're not only willing to, obviously be available during that transition period, but even down the road, if a buyer has a question and wants to shoot a quick email or hop on a phone call. We love this business. We're really passionate about it. And we love connecting with other Amazon sellers that like to do the same thing. So naturally, there's kind of a brotherhood there, or a family there, if you will, that if somebody has a question about something, we're more than happy to answer and be as supportive as we possibly can.
Yeah, great to hear. Would you commit to a non-compete?
We certainly would. We understand that, every niche has a level of competitiveness to it. So we would be open to a non-compete for this particular niche.
And are you open to seller financing, like negotiating something like an earnout?
We are open to that. Some of that would depend on what that earnout looks like, what kind of control we might have over that earnout, and if there is a good, strong upside to that earnout.
Fantastic. Okay. The last question from me, really, Randy. If you put yourself in the shoes of a buyer, why would you say that this is a business that's worth buying?
Yeah, that's a great question. A couple things. First of all, the business has extremely strong fundamentals. If you take a look at our revenue numbers, our ACoS numbers, our reviews, the health of our seller account, everything across the board is extremely strong. Our fundamentals are excellent. And that's given us the ability to launch new products and see very, very rapid growth of almost every new product that we've launched. So extremely strong fundamentals. And then the second thing I'd say is I feel like the upside for this is just infinite. The amount of variations that can be created, customized variations that can be created with the SKUs is just absolutely incredible. And I feel like we've really only tapped a very small portion, with the North American marketplace, expanding that global footprint, putting a stronger stake into Walmart, and maybe even a stronger push into the Shopify store through search engine optimization and, Google shopping. I think there's an incredible growth potential with this business.
Fantastic. Is there anything you'd like to share that you think I might have missed?
I don't think so. I mean, those were great questions, and hopefully I was able to answer everything that the potential buyer might be interested in.
Yeah, no, you've been great, Randy. All the best, and we hope your business gets picked up in the near future.
Thank you so much. I appreciate your time.
No worries. All right, everyone. Thanks for listening. To learn more and see if this listing has already been sold, head over to empireflippers.com/marketplace and search for listing number 48743. If you're watching this on YouTube, click the link in the description to go straight to the listing. And once you've unlocked it, you'll be given everything you need to know about the business. So until next time, enjoy your digital journey.